everyone, and welcome to Who Threw the Curve. And today we have Randy with no Mr. Ducky, but he got Snoopy working. From Delaware, out of North Carolina, out of God, I guess. And I'm Robert, as you all well know, and today I'm out of the Lower East Side. Um, Today we got an interesting topic, and it's basically so I got this from an article, and they were talking about Elon Musk, and he seems to think about what we're going to talk about, and it's the topic is, do we live in a simulation? So kind of like a computer simulation. And this is the topic that's been going on forever, so it's not something that just started today. Elon Musk did not make it up. Facebook
Shocker.
and Metaverse did not make this up. This has been going on like almost forever. We're talking about in the days of Descartes. The philosophers spoke about it. He didn't explain it the way they do now, but it was in his mind. So my thing is, can we be in a simulation? So the simulation hypothesis, and this is what we're going to talk about, is, remember, I'm not an expert in this stuff, but I guess I can talk about it. I did some research on it, and I like to read about quantum physics. So it all comes out in the same realm. So it's almost like like me and you right now, we don't really exist, but we exist because we're watching our TV show. So meaning we're watching ourselves, perception. This is really not happening. And this also can be occurring in multiple, how you say, universes or multiple dimensions. Remember, every time we do something, so if right now I'm thinking like, I want to kick my cat because he's clawing on my leg right now, and right now I'm not going to kick him, but just the thought of me wanting to kick him, that means somewhere along my lifeline now, that split, and I end up kicking my cat. I'm just not going to experience it because I'm not perceiving that. My perception is just what I'm doing now. But I actually kicked the cat because that's what I'm thinking, though I didn't do.
I think, I'm just sitting here and had a thought, the perception and being able to look at something and see yourself, to see that you do exist. And by what you're saying, that's how the mirror was created. Mirror, everybody's always wanted to look at themselves.
There is a.
Does that make sense?
There's a show that I plan to do with, I think it's next week, with a guest. Her name is Samantha, and we're going to talk about that. So, in theory, what we see in a mirror is not what everybody else sees. So, what I see you as, that's not how you're looking at yourself. You perceive yourself differently, and this is where the whole the filters and Instagram and everything else. A person cannot, like, I never use any filter. I don't care if you don't like the way I look. If you feel like throwing up when you see me, throw up. Or just change the channel or change whatever you're watching. You don't have to watch me. You see what I'm saying? But I am not going to put on a filter. I am not going to go put on braces because my tooth is split. I'm not going to do any of that just to satisfy somebody. But that's the perception. I perceive myself different than everybody else. So you're looking at me right now, but I see myself different than what you're actually seeing me. It's like people that are colorblind. So some people, you might be looking at yellow, or I might be looking at what I think is yellow, but you see it as red. That's your perception.
That goes back to what I was saying. But at the end of the day, you have the truth. So this is like really a moot point because there's no scientific way to test this theory. That's why That's why I can't understand how he could honestly see
this. It's only a hypothesis right now. It's like quantum physics. We can't. You could throw up as many. I could fill this whole room up with equations, right, and write all over the walls all these different equations on how it can happen and how it can exist. I may come to the outcome that I need to tell you, yeah, it exists. But you're gonna look at those equations. You're gonna be like, what are you talking about? What do you write? You're going to tell me, why am I writing Chinese on my wall? Why am I writing Arabic on my wall?
Give me the layman's terms of this. Yeah.
Because you don't understand what what all that I wrote meant. in theory, I don't understand what they meant, but um, you understand what I'm saying? A physicist
Yeah,
will
yeah,
write
yeah.
down all these things, and they will come to the conclusion because that equation is going to equal to the outcome that they're talking about.
So no matter what topic you're on life, if I'm studying that mirror hanging on my wall, but if that mirror's hanging there, and I do this big study, and I've come to the conclusion it's hanging on this wall, but it's really hanging there. You can make anything come to the conclusion because it's a simulation.
Well, it's all on
That's
perception.
the point.
So
Figured it
we
out, Rui.
we perceive we perceive differently than everybody else. So, for instance, it goes with that the glass is the glass half full or half empty? Can it, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's what you perceive it to be. I might say, nah, the glass is half empty, and you might say, no, the glass is half full. We're both right. The truth is we're both right, and if as long as it's at that half point, then we're both not wrong. It's just our perception.
But okay, man, you see what I'm saying? This is, but at the end of the day, there's a truth to everything. Do you agree on that?
Um, there's more. Okay, so I would have to say I'm gonna throw 10 red flags with a yellow.
You gave me a yellow card. You're throwing me out of the game already, Rui.
No, there's truth, but there's multiple truths.
How can that be though? But that's a cup of coffee. That's a bird. How can
Because
that be multiple?
I'll tell you why there's multiple truth. Because if you take me and you throw me in the middle of the Amazon, I grew up in the Amazon jungle here in New York City, which is all cement, right? So it's different than me getting thrown into the Amazon jungle and watching the natives there do things, and I might think, "Oh no, what the hell are they doing?"
But there's only one Amazon jungle.
But
You're
that's
just
not
calling
my.
New York Amazon.
But that's not my truth. You see what I'm saying?
That's the
That's not
wrong word. That's not a
that.
truth. That's not your perception.
Well, my
No.
perception. But the perception is always going to equal to what you believe is true or real.
What you believe, but the actual truth is the Amazon there's no concrete in the Amazon.
There's no real concrete truth on anything. There's multiple truth in what you believe is true. This is why when I have a conversation with a young man that I work with. His name is Angel. He also has, and I always say, I just like to shout him out here. He also has a YouTube channel called Angel and Eve, and they visit all over the world and they film it and shit like that. Boring. But we have this conversation, and I always say, in every lie, there's a truth. Why? A lie cannot exist without a truth.
Without a truth,
Because
it's be a
if
lie.
something,
You got to lie about something.
in order for me to lie about something, that means something has to exist, and that is the truth. So that lie, or part of that lie, there's truth to it. Kind of see what I'm saying?
Really, what you're saying, it's kind of contradicting, though, man.
No, no, no. It's
Because the truth, like my phone is sitting on a brown chair with a brown cushion right now. That is the truth.
right,
You're
but
telling me you can be over here and
you
you can say,
said,
no,
but
no, no,
look,
no,
look
no.
what
That
you
chair
said.
is resting on a metal chair.
Look what you said. A brown. Suppose my brown, I can't perceive brown the way you do. So you're telling me that's brown. I'm like, no, that's red.
Oh
Now
my
what?
God. See, we can go,
But this is why you
that's
got
not
to
how it's
think.
meant to be, though. So this is the new generation. These people,
No,
this is the
no. It's
problem.
it's always it's
Now they've
always
sunk into you, Rui. What am I going to do? I thought we were there, brother.
it's always going to be truth. The truth is it's in the kitchen. Maybe I don't perceive it as a kitchen, but that's where that's at, right? But let's talk about the color. We could both say that people are colorblind and we don't see colors all the
So
same.
you're breaking it down. You're breaking down into everything's got bits and pieces to
So
form the truth.
and this is where the whole simulation comes. Are we living in a simulation? Are we conducting multiple lives? So me and you are talking now in this life, but are me and you talking in another dimension, right? Because according to quantum physics,
I mean, I don't know
We
if
we
grandma had balls, she'd be grandpa.
we can live in multiple dimensions, right? And this is where
Yeah.
I don't know if you're into
If
like DC Comics and Marvel. Free is into that, so you might want to talk to Free. He break it down to you more than I can. But multiple universes run on a linear path. So I think, according to some physicists, these linear paths may cross, but most of the time they don't. So
imagine how fucked up that would be if they did.
I can exist in several universes, actually in many, and it's all on decision. So think of me and you as a tree. So we start with a seed, we get planted. All of a sudden, it starts growing up, right? Then the tree starts to make decisions, and then next thing you know, it's still growing, but now the decision, a decision that was made that's not coherent with actually going up, branches out. That branch happens to have its own life. I could cut that branch off and the tree still lives.
So
Only when I
then
cut
you
the
said the
root.
branch does have its own life.
Absolutely. I
So if
could
you
cut.
cut it off, the tree's still gonna live, but so the branch will still live too.
Now, it can. Theoretically, I don't know about the branch on the tree because I've never done it, but
No, it can't.
how many times have I cut a plant and cut it and put it in water and it grows roots and now it's its own.
Yes.
And now it has its own roots. It no longer depends on the main plant.
That does make sense. But the part that I'm at is you can't. Every situation, there's not just one thing that makes it a situation. There's several. There's all multiple factors, and you can manipulate those factors to make something become or appear to become a different truth. But at the end of the day, this is what, even though if you're colorblind, at the end of the day, on that tag, when you go to buy it, it's going to be a wooden chair with a brown cushion.
So think
That's
about
going
it.
to be the truth.
But when somebody says the truth, what is the truth? The truth is what
Who determines the truth?
your truth is different than mine because we grew up in different places and we see things differently. And this is why,
That's a perception. That's not the truth.
but our perceptions see things differently. So what you may think is, well, no, you can't do it. I could be like, nah, here in New York City, what do you mean? We have we got 10 mistresses. Up in North Carolina, no, we can't have a mistress because God is going to punish us. Here in New York City, we're like, nah, I mean, nah,
That's
we can have that.
evolving to your
God,
surroundings.
God is not
That's
going to punish
adaption.
us. Does that
That's
make me right?
adaption.
Does that make me right or wrong? Does that make you right or wrong? Because your perception is different than mine. So
According to the
what?
Bible and what our
So
country
what?
was founded on.
What is the truth? Now, if you mention the Bible is the Bible is an interesting book because number one, it's been rewritten a million times. But let's take that out of the equation. The Bible is written a lot. It's very open, so it's up for interpretation. This is why you'll sit in a mass sometimes, or you'll sit in a Catholic church, and then you go to this Baptist church, and they'll read the same. Let's say they do the same sermon on the same thing, but they'll both say it differently. Why? Because they perceive the scripture differently. Why? Because the
Yes.
Bible is not written in the definite. It's
Time.
open for interpretation.
They still have their different interpretations, but they ultimately get back to the same thing, which is the truth.
But
You can branch things out, but our
maybe,
country was founded on the Bible and the way the Bible works.
okay.
Man
So
shall not dwell on the man.
maybe we'll call the truth the roots of the matter because again,
The what was that?
we'll call the truth the roots of the matter. So where we started, everything starts at point A, and then it ends up in point Z or whatever you want to
Well,
be.
and we already debated that already
But
because it's supposed to be coming from a rib, and then it came from something else we talked about. Remember?
but think about it. If we both come from different places and we both see things differently and we both live different lives, different culture, different we eat differently, then our truths are never going to intermingle. However, the only truth is that we're both human.
I think the word truth is being misused in these conversations. I think the word truth is that's what it is, truth. I think there's another word, and if I'm not smart enough to come up with it right now, I think I should invent a new word for it because it's along the lines of a perception, but then you have to have a final. You have to have the end. You know what I'm saying to become. But I think the word truth is being misused throughout this entire theory or entire talk. I mean, I think the
Just
truth is the
you have
word and the action, the actual. This is what it is according to most of the world, and you're going to have your other groups of people who aren't going to agree. But for the most people, this is a chair of the brown cushion.
so let me
The
say
majority.
another. Let me put a different perspective. So me and you are talking right now. We're
Mm-hmm.
debating on this. We're kind of seeing things differently, which is good because there's no right or wrong in anything.
Mm-hmm.
However, what we have to remember is our reality right now does not exist without observation. Me and you are observing this now. But if nobody watches this show after this, then this never existed.
That's
It
not
has
true.
to be,
We got videos to prove it.
but it has to be observed in order for it to be exist. It's like that old saying: if a tree fell in the forest and there's nobody to hear the noise, does it make a noise? I don't know. Does it? That's
What's a noise? But what's a noise,
but
Bob?
this is where this whole simulation thing comes in.
Yeah.
Everything is different wherever you go. If they stuck you in Alaska and you started talking, they're gonna be like, "Where did this fucking nutcase come from?" They stuck me in Alaska. They'd be like, "Where did this crazy man come from?" They're gonna think I'm a demon.
Yeah. You're gonna be like, yo, man, where can we go to the strip club? They're gonna be like, yo, we gotta go get firewood. The winter's coming. You're gonna be on two opposite, you're different truths. I get that, but it's a
Exactly.
different definition of truth, is my point. Does that make sense?
Well, it does make sense, but you have to look. There's several truths to anything because when I saw, so for instance, in police work, why they ask different people what they saw? Because everybody perceived it differently. But what's the truth? You have to come to that conclusion once you gather all the information. Because in reality, when you listen to everybody, they all have a different story. They
It
never
reminds me of
have
this.
the
Here's
same
what it reminds me.
story.
I got a perfect thing for this. Hear me out. In 10th grade, I got a high school teacher taught civics, Coach Bisnick.
Right.
He proved a point. He wrote down, I am wearing brown pants on a piece of paper and handed it to the first desk right over here. Okay. The girl read it. She crumpled it up and she turned around to the next student and said, I'm wearing brown pants today. That person stood up and told the next person all the way around. By the time it got over here, it was my brown pants have a big pile of poop and a pair of black shoes stapled to it. Do you get
And
my point? As it keeps going, everybody's going to come up with something different and change it.
and the
But
only
at
thing
the end of
that's
the
true,
day, the son of a bitch was wearing brown pants.
that's the only truth.
That's the truth.
But that's what they call the root. But that doesn't mean that's what everybody perceived. Again,
Perceives. That's not
if
the
you told
truth.
me if you told me
Ah, you
brown, if
convinced
you
me.
showed me brown, but I see that as red, I don't know what brown is. So
But
I'm gonna
okay,
be like,
what does
yeah,
the
that's
majority
red.
see that chair as?
If you're pointing me brown and I'm pointing red to you, and you're like, no, that's brown, but I see it as red, then who's
The,
right or
the
wrong?
majority. What does the majority of everybody on Earth identify that chair as?
There is there is
That-
no there is no majority. There are people that will agree because in reality, what you just the explanation you just said, and then the one with the police, nobody ever perceives everything the same. There is maybe
It's an opinion.
there is some common no because we see things different, especially when we're witness. They have to ask several witnesses. Now, if they only ask one person, then that's the truth. But if they ask two, now you have two truths. You ask three, now you got three truths. What is the truth?
Versions, not truths, versions.
But it's true to that person. You can't tell
It's
them
their
that's not true.
version of the events.
You're gonna tell them, you cannot tell that person that's not what they saw. Oh no,
That's
maybe you
not what
didn't
I'm
see,
saying. That's their
because you know
version.
what? There are a lot of people in jail because back in the days, that's what the detectives used to be. No, that's not what you saw. This is what you saw. But no, that's not really.
Yeah,
That's
right.
not what they saw. They
That's
tell
not
you
what
what
you
they
said. No,
saw, but
this is what you
you
said.
wanna lock somebody up, so you gotta put that in their mind. No, this is what you really saw. You see what I'm saying?
Really, man.
So
I
what's
think
the truth?
I think that your definition of truth isn't the truth.
No, because the
That's
truth,
that's my perception.
everybody has different versions of their truth,
Versions of events.
you know? And we could even go further into murder, to stealing, to, you know, if I stole something because I was hungry, am I wrong?
No, that's the events
Yeah,
that
but
are
now,
taking
now,
place.
now ask the store owner, which is me. Is he wrong? Absolutely. He stole my shit. I'm going to cut his hand off.
Now you get into punishment. We can't go that far because
But
then
that's
we'll
this,
be all fucked.
I think is wrong. And I believe is wrong. And that's the truth.
That's your
The other
version of the events.
the other guy or girl is hungry. She's starving or he's
That's the
starving
truth.
and
Our
can't
belly's
afford
growing.
anything. So because of the issue that she's in or he's in, they stole the apple. But are they wrong?
They shouldn't steal.
You shouldn't steal, but you're really hungry and there's no way you're gonna eat.
You shouldn't get caught stealing because you're really hungry.
But you see, there
Be
you go.
sneakier, damn it.
That's a different simulation.
I'm. Oh my
So
god.
these are
Personal foul.
simulations.
Fucking with the co-host.
So this is, I mean, at the end of the day, we could go on for hours on this,
I know we can. You got me
but
all twisted. I want to dream about this shit now, Rudy.
but in reality, I would have to say sometimes it does feel like a matrix. Sometimes I think about it and I think, wow, can this be a simulation? Can can I just really be seeing myself just doing this?
I
Am I
have deja vu a lot.
am I an observer of my life living, or am I an observer of multiple lives living? These are questions that, I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks that people ponder. A lot of people, we and you are speaking about it, but a lot of people think it. They won't speak about it. Why? Because the minute that they say something like that, oh no, you must suffer from schizophrenia. Let me get you some pills to fix that, because they can't explain it. It's unexplainable,
That's
and we'll
sad,
never
man.
know.
What you
Me
just
and you
said is
will
sad.
me and you will probably never know if this existed, but maybe 200-300 years from now, somebody be like, yeah, wow, this is great. I could time travel. I could do this, and I can manipulate molecules and this and that. And you feed me that now, I'm gonna be like, oh, that's like speaking to me French. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna understand.
But you can think anything to reality that you want, man. You can make it your reality, your perception, your truth.
But
You can
the
think
one
anything into that.
the one thing I do agree is that everybody perceives everything differently, and this is a big. I mean, we could branch into a bunch of different topics just on that alone, our perception, because I think people fail to realize in life that we do that, and this is why a lot of times relationships don't work out. A lot of things don't work out in life because, let's say, me as an individual does not want to take into consideration that you may see something different than I do.
Yeah, and that makes sense. At the end of the day, I think I need to petition the American Heritage Dictionary and request that the definition of truth and the definition of perception be re-examined because that's the way it's basically you're to me it's basically a manipulation and a way to just like making up micro cheating as a thing. Just this is a thing, that's a thing. That can't just be a freaking fiber on a rug. It has to be a supercalifragilisticexpialidocious up your ass fiber on a
Right.
rug. That's what it has to be. You know what I mean? It has to have a better name than a fiber on a rug.
So For those people that want to go deeper into it, I would suggest that you read some Descartes. I think it's called The Evil Demon Thought. He wrote about it a little bit. Obviously, we're talking about computer simulation or simulations, period. He talks about this issue in a different matter. And I think there was a Chinese philosopher, I might be pronouncing it wrong, Zhongzi, and there was a parable called The Butterfly Dream.
Yes.
So he speaks about it as well. So for those people that want to go into more detail and obviously, read a little bit about quantum physics, stuff like that, this way you could catch, obviously you're not going to understand it because you have to study quantum physics to really understand it. And I even think some physicists don't even understand it, but, maybe it's not their time. But to at least get a gist of what we were just speaking about and how we could be living in a simulation.
Get a grip, a gist, and then come up with your own perception and your own.
Absolutely. There you go.
There you go. There you go.
With that said, don't forget to subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to follow us. Don't forget to like us. And I'm sure that you're sharing us. Don't keep us a secret to yourself. Make sure you share us. And with that said, we will see you on our next segment. Thanks.
Our first.
Did I chip you out on that?